Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking an absolute masterclass in professional resilience. We're going to examine a really concise but incredibly potent set of directives from our source material on how to handle professional adversity. Because let's face it, when a crisis hits, our first instinct is usually to react, to panic, or just run for the hills, right? But by the end of this, we'll break down exactly how relying on structure and external advice can completely transform your career. We're diving into a framework that literally pulls you right out of those emotional weeds and puts you firmly back in the driver's seat of your own professional growth. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this. How do you handle a professional situation when things go wrong? We've all been there. A major project derails, a critical initiative fails, or maybe a key client just walks away. And suddenly, you are desperately trying to suppress the very natural urge to panic, scream into a pillow, or maybe toss the office printer out the nearest window. Let's be honest, it is phenomenally difficult to stay calm during workplace chaos. Your heart rate spikes, your email drafts get a little too aggressive, actually way too aggressive, and your perspective totally narrows. But our source material today, it provides a very specific structural antidote to that exact chaos. So the source material gives us a surprisingly specific directive to counter that workplace panic. It states, connect with our advisory board. They should help you process the situation unemotionally and guide you to improve in the future. Wow, that is a remarkably dense piece of advice packed into just 2 sentences. It doesn't offer empty platitudes or just tell you to take a deep breath. Instead, it gives us a tangible, actionable system for dealing with the absolute hardest parts of our professional lives. If we really deconstruct that quote, we uncover a hidden chronological roadmap. The text provides a clear, sequential 3-step formula. Step 1, connect with the board. Step 2, process unemotionally. And Step 3, improve in the future. What the source brilliantly maps out here is a journey. It takes you from a disruptive present catalyst, that chaotic situation that just occurred, and gives you a literal bridge to a constructive, stabilized outcome. This isn't just about weathering the storm. It's about systematically ensuring that the storm actually makes you a stronger professional. Now, what's really interesting about this first step is what it doesn't say. It doesn't tell you to sit alone in a dark room and think about what you did. It doesn't tell you to rely solely on your own immediate instincts, which, as we just established, might involve throwing office equipment. True professional growth begins with an external action. It is the deliberate choice to step outside of your own head and reach out to make a real connection with an established body of advisors. Based on our source text, we can clearly define the overarching theme here as strategic guidance. Now, in this context, guidance isn't just friendly advice. It's the specific act of utilizing an advisory board to process situations unemotionally, all to guarantee targeted future improvement. The guidance here is a mechanism designed to actively remove your personal emotion from the professional equation. And to be clear, this doesn't necessarily mean some formal corporate board sitting in a glass meeting room. It's your trusted mentors, your industry peers, a structured group designed to keep you grounded when things get really tough. So the crucial point is processing the situation unemotionally. This is the crux of the entire narrative. Look, stripping raw emotion away from a high-stakes professional situation is incredibly difficult, right? But the text presents it as an absolute necessity. You simply cannot clearly view the mechanics of a situation if your vision is totally clouded by frustration, panic, or pride. Those emotions are completely natural, but they make for terrible lenses through which to view a complex problem. The advisory board exists to provide a clear, unclouded lens. Let's look at the stark contrast our source implies here. On one side, processing unemotionally alongside an advisory board is calm. It's analytical. It's objective. You're looking at the facts, the timelines, and the actions. But on the other side, well, that's the unstated alternative, spinning out alone, fueled by raw, unchecked emotion. We're talking frustration, defensiveness, or maybe even a heavy dose of imposter syndrome. The text actively steers us away from that solitary tornado and pulls us right toward collaborative clarity. It is literally the difference between just reacting to a fire and systematically figuring out exactly how it started. Okay, so we understand the mechanism now, stripping away the emotion through external collaboration. But that leads us directly to the outcome phase. How do we secure this future improvement? What is the functional role of your board once that initial panic is neutralized and the emotion is finally out of the room? Because let's be real, it's not enough to just stop feeling bad. There has to be a forward trajectory. And this brilliantly illustrates that the advisory board isn't just a sounding board. They aren't there just to let you vent over a cup of coffee. According to our source, they have a strict two-part mandate. Mandate 1, process the situation unemotionally. Mandate 2, guide you to improve in the future. It's a highly targeted, highly functional relationship grounded purely in these two directives. If your mentors are just agreeing with everything you say and validating your anger, well, they aren't fulfilling this mandate. They need to actively guide you toward betterment. Let's really focus on that second mandate, guide you to improve in the future. This highlights the ultimate goal of the entire intervention. The source makes it crystal clear that we don't process things unemotionally just for the sake of immediate psychological relief. We do it for continuous, tangible professional growth. That is the payoff. The end game is always about building a better, more capable, more resilient version of yourself for whatever challenge comes next. Let's move forward and see how this all builds together. When we put these pieces into place, we see a complete, repeatable cycle. We've deconstructed the text, and here's the precise machinery it reveals. Step 1, the situation occurs. Step 2, unemotional processing with the board takes place. And step 3, guided future improvement is achieved. It is a brilliant, self-contained loop designed to turn professional stumbling blocks into literal stepping stones. It changes a failure from a dead end into a powerful data point.
Which brings us to our final thought. The source outlines a perfect system, but it relies entirely on preparation. So here's the real question. Is your advisory board ready for your next unemotional situation? Do you actually have that professional safety net in place before the chaos hits? Because the time to find a guide isn't when you're already lost in the woods. Think about it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Build your board, prepare for the future, and I'll see you next time.